What's up, Bona Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Inning. As always, I'm Jack Haskell, joined by Ryan Adio and Gavin Watson, and our special guest for this week, St. Bonaventure baseball pitcher, James Capellupo. James, how are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be on here with you guys.
Yeah, awesome.
Here. Thank you.
The first guest of the show. I'm excited.
Of many, yeah.
I guess let's just start off with the big story here, the leg kick. Where did it come from? When did you start doing it? Like, kind of what's the backstory behind the leg kick?
Yeah, I would say I've always had kind of a bigger leg kick. Just even growing up, like being a younger guy, I've always kind of had more of a herky-jerky motion. I guess, like, I've always just tried to throw as hard as I can. I've never really been, like, the biggest guy. Now that I'm kind of lifting weights, I'm a little bigger, like, size-wise, but height-wise, still not super big. Wasn't really blessed with a super strong arm, so kind of had to do, like, more of extra things to kind of try to create some more power. And it's been effective so far. I'm also super mobile, so like it just kind of comes naturally. It doesn't feel like it's like forced. It kind of flows naturally. Even though it might look uncomfortable to a lot of people, it goes pretty naturally. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Is there like a specific pitcher you watched like growing up or something that had like a leg kick, or like did you watch someone? Did you get it from like a coach or something?
I don't even think so. I think I've just always been just working on velocity and like throwing pens, especially as I was getting older on like the radar gun and stuff. And I would just kind of notice the more, the higher the leg kick went up, the harder the gun read. So I was like, just going to produce as much velocity as possible. So it just kind of kept slowly getting higher and higher. And now it's kind of staying at the same spot.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Much higher.
Now, for a little bit of context, the Bonnies played Tennessee in a 3-game series from March 9th through 11th, and you started one of those games. And with the game being on national television, the whole world saw the leg kick. Right. I mean, you were on the MLB's official social media pages, John Boy, Pitching Ninja, a bunch of other pages that if we listed all of them, we'd be here for a while.
Just big in the world of baseball.
Yeah, right. I mean, just like, what are your general reactions to just being prominently featured in the national spotlight like that?
I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously would have liked a little bit of a different result of the game, but it was a real positive. The game finishes up and you're not feeling the best, but then it's like you open your phone and you just come bombarded with all these messages from these cool places, and it's like it's like kind of that moment where you just kind of stop and look around and you're like, this is a journey, and this is a pretty cool moment within the journey, and it's kind of really cool to see where the game can take you. And sometimes you feel like you're very small, you're just one of the many players, but then it's like this game is a pretty worldwide game, and it's cool to be able to make a big moment like that. So it's pretty fun.
Did someone tell you about it? Did you open your phone and see it, or how did you find out about this first?
Well, I went into Snapchat initially to text my girlfriend.
Okay.
I see, obviously she's at the top, but then I see like a million unopened messages, like chats. And I'm like, this is strange.
So
I have friends
something's
text
up.
me usually, but not like 25 in a row. So I opened a few of the chats, half swiping when I start seeing, did you see you were on this? Did you see you were on that? And I was like, whoa, okay. And then I opened, I think it was the Pitching Ninja one first, because someone had sent me like a link to a tweet. I think my dad sent me one too. So I started opening that, and then I just started scrolling on Twitter, and there was kind of a gamut of people thinking it was cool, Tennessee fans mocking it, other people mocking it, people, giving all sorts of a wide range of reactions to it. So it was pretty neat.
What was there anybody like cool that reached out to you?
Any big names that kind of saw it and reached
I wouldn't
out?
say they reached out personally, to be honest. Just some really cool people that obviously posted it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the MLB was the coolest one, just because to see the largest league in the world, their official account, post it. And that kind of came almost after the fact, too, I think, like 2 days after.
Yeah.
So everything had kind of chilled out, and then it was like, whoa, MLB just posted it. So it just kind of got things rolling again, and then more mentions of it on Twitter and stuff like that from that, which was cool, too.
You talk about not the results you wanted against Tennessee, but you are one of only 3 pitchers this year who have gone 5 or more innings against Tennessee. What does that mean to you, and what does that level of success against that good of a team mean?
Yeah, obviously they had some success against me too, but it was obviously kind of minimizing the damage with relation to what other pitchers had experienced against them. I think that kind of just comes with the fact that I'm a pretty veteran pitcher, even though I'm only a sophomore. I've pitched a ton of Division I games and kind of have that mentality to just kind of not allow things to crumble when things start to go bad, and just make the best pitch you can each pitch, and just kind of let the results do the work. And obviously going 5 innings was very good. You kind of said there was only 3 guys that had done that. So that was a positive. Was able to throw 100 pitches against them and kind of eat up some innings to help their bullpen for the weekend. But obviously definitely did have some success. They were a pretty tough lineup, but I think I got good stuff and definitely got some outs, which was good.
How was like the atmosphere at Tennessee? I know you mentioned the like mocking fans, but other than that, like just playing in such a high level like arena stadium, like how was the atmosphere there?
I was really cool just to kind of look around and see, left field porch all the way around to both foul poles fans, and pretty much all the seats were filled. And the cool thing was the student section. Every time I would pitch, they would do like a woo.
I thought I heard something.
Goofy noise they would make, and it's pretty noticeable. On the mound. Usually, I don't get too caught up in what's going on around me, but that was pretty tough to ignore. So it wasn't really something that made you pitch worse. It wasn't really an intimidation thing. It was more kind of just like, hey, that's pretty cool. They're doing that after each pitch.
With the leg kick, is that something you deal with often? Is getting chirped about the leg kick or whatnot?
I would say, honestly, I've pitched in a wide range of different atmospheres in Division I baseball. I've pitched in front of a couple sold-out crowds at like Penn State, Kansas State, Tennessee. I've pitched in front of 30 people at Bryant, really smaller. It's honestly more noticeable, like in terms of the chirping, when it's a smaller atmosphere.
Right.
You notice like guys in the dugout on the other team like yelling out specific things, kind of mocking you. Where in a bigger atmosphere, it kind of gets drowned out in front of everybody. But so it's definitely very noticeable in high school, especially for like small student sections with like a quiet, like adult kind of scene and people getting after you. But in college, honestly, don't notice it as much.
How do you deal with something like that when you are getting chirped in a smaller atmosphere or
I don't really mind. Like, it's just like kind of my vibe in general, just even in life. Like, I've never really been someone that really cares what other people think about me too much.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just do my thing, and like I almost sometimes like people will say things that are like so outlandish that they're like trying to like kind of piss you off. And to me, I almost like chuckle about it sometimes. Like, especially if I'm throwing the ball well, it's just kind of like, wow, I just kind of like giggle a little bit on the mound and get back at it.
It's got to be great when you're up ahead and striking out all of their batters and they're still chirping you. It's like, oh, you're chirping me, but I'm dominating your team right now.
Yeah, especially with that in high school too. Doing well in high school, but I kind of enjoy it. It just makes the game fun. And I've been someone, when I was a big like student section guy in high school and even in college, like chirping like other teams. Like it's just fun. It's part of the game. So there's never like any hostility towards people that are doing it too. I think it makes the game better for any sport.
Right. Now with the leg kick, you've got to maintain your body to be able to do that consistently the way you have. What's like your training regimen just to make sure your leg's feeling all right? Like what kind of calisthenics do you do almost? Just how do you maintain being able to consistently do it every single
You're
pitch?
talking about his leg, like he's not a pitcher. It's like the arm is the big thing. But yeah.
I honestly work out like 4 to 5 hours a day, but in terms of like specific stuff for my mobility and function of my body like that, I do an hour mobility program each day. I rotate lower and upper from one day to the next, so it's just a 2-day cycle. So I'm doing lower body stuff 1 out of every 2 days. I do some very basic stuff like just like hamstring stretches, stuff like that, and then I do like a little crazier stuff like I hold like splits for like 60 seconds.
I was gonna say you've definitely got to be able to do a hell of a split with the way that leg goes up.
And that's not really for the leg kick specifically. I find like that's just more just for my body in general, like being able to have a mobile trunk, a mobile spine, core, stuff like that. And the leg is kind of just a byproduct of being able to do stuff like that as well. But it just helps pitching in general.
And then where do you learn this sort of routine and understand your body? Like how do you learn this about yourself, and how do you learn this information?
I would say like since I was younger, since I was like when I first got into baseball seriously, like 11, 12 years old, I never really like had like a coach that would like work with me. Like I never had a private pitching instructor or stuff like that. It was just my dad coached baseball, so talking with him and stuff, but he was never even really a pitcher, so it was more just he taught me a lot about batting, and then pitching was more me learning from other people online, TikTok, YouTube, just like literally trying to get as much information as I can from others. And I'm just a big reader, so I'm constantly reading like studies, research stuff on your body, how your body moves, most optimal ways to move, and then kind of just experimenting and just adapting.
Okay.
I've had a bunch of different programs over the years that I've invented myself that have just slowly adapted, and I've kind of gotten to where they are now. And I'm sure in 4 years they'll look a little bit different when I read some new studies and stuff. So just always trying to be a student of the game and learn some stuff.
That's awesome.
Now, getting into a little more past the leg kick and just you as a player. Obviously, first year at St. Bonaventure after spending your freshman campaign at UMass-Lowell. What's the transition been like for you?
It's honestly been really refreshing. I don't want to talk too much about what I was, my place last year, but just this place is just unbelievable. Team culture is terrific. Coach Raz is terrific. From a baseball standpoint, the coaching staff is very much improvement driven. They're constantly kind of working with you hands-on, trying to find specific ways, whether it's working on pitch design for a pitch or just working on a mental approach to the game, pitchers, hitters, everything. So that's really helpful. Off the field, it's easy to talk to them, players, everyone just kind of meshed right away. Older guys, younger guys, transfers, returning guys. So just a great vibe to be around. And in terms of, on the field stuff, I'm obviously more of a starter this year, but it's been a pretty easy transition just because I'm used to doing that my whole childhood. So it hasn't been bad. So it's really just been, enjoying the game, and I'm honestly having a lot more fun this year than I did last year. So it's really cool.
Well, we're definitely glad you like it here.
Yeah.
We love it here.
Yeah.
Your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, they all went here.
Mm-hmm.
What impact did that have in your decision to transfer here?
Definitely had a big impact. I mean, I'm from a smaller town, so I kind of like that more tight-knit vibe with the campus and things like that. So that definitely helped without their influence, and then kind of asking them hey, is that how it's like? That's what you hear about Bonaventure, and then them saying yeah, no, that's exactly how it's like. Everybody kind of comes together, and it's this great family atmosphere, and that kind of sold it to me for sure.
The Rochester Cougars, the 1-2 of you and Salina back in Little League. What was that like playing with them back then, and now him throwing 100 and you two being the 1-2 of the staff? What is that like?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love Mike. I live with him too. He's one of a kind. You'll never meet anyone like him again. But I mean, that's what makes him so great. I mean, he's always been like that too. He's just so driven, so focused. He doesn't mind standing out from the crowd and kind of doing things kind of similar to me that might look goofy or might sound goofy to others, but are really beneficial to your career. And he's one of the hardest workers I've ever met, so it's cool. And then obviously, just being able to see him do so well and see all his hard work pay off is really exciting. And obviously, he's a close friend of mine, so I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, how much did that help when you first got here to kind of have a guy to lean on almost knowing someone on campus definitely helps, I'm sure.
Especially, since I've known him for so long and
Right.
living with him and stuff. So you kind of always ask him, what's going on with the program? How does this work? And now obviously I've been here a year, so I kind of have experienced everything there is to experience in a year. But when you get there in the fall, there's things that each program might do differently. So you could ask someone without having to ask, coach or something like that, which is nice. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so Gavin had mentioned Little League. Going a little bit past that, but before your time at Bonaventure, I mean, you had some pretty insane high school stats. I think Gavin's got it up here at my doc. Gavin, if you want to take that away.
Senior season, 0 ERA, 88-3 strikeout to walk ratio. Broke the Hilton record for strikeouts in a game, regular season whip, consecutive scoreless innings, and consecutive innings without an earned run. And you set the state record for complete game shutouts in a season. I mean, those are video game numbers right there.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be having fun at that point. It's not even a game. You're just having fun. I mean, just talk us through with that. Just how having that impact over the senior season led to recruitment, wanting to play at the next level. Just what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a ton of fun. I have so much pride in where I'm from, in my school district, and my athletic program there. So it was really, I mean, this year I'm having a blast. Last year I would always say that I don't think I could ever enjoy baseball more than I did playing at Hilton, but this year I'm definitely having a blast too, so it'll be kind of an interesting thing there. But those are the best memories of my life right now, playing ball there and just having fun with my friends. Obviously, I put up some really good numbers, but it was more just being able to enjoy the game and play in front of my town and my friends and stuff, and it was a great experience, a lot of really good memories.
You talked about team chemistry earlier. I feel like every time we go to eat as a group, I always see the baseball team eating as a group.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys talk about, or is this group just so close that you all just happen to get there?
Talking about in the Hickey?
Yeah, team Hickey dinners.
No, it's fun. Everybody just kind of, it's interesting because you play it somewhere else. You might have in the locker room, this guy hates this guy, or there's this kind of beef going on between guys. And here it's just really you either love someone or you like someone. Those are the two options. You got guys that are boys that are always hanging out, and then someone else you just like them and you enjoy their company. And any teammate you see at the Hickey, you sit down with them and you talk and you have a good time. Food isn't always the best, but conversations are always good. So no, and it's similar on the road too. We obviously have had a tough stretch here, losing a bunch of games in a row, but it's we lost the other night pretty handily to Richmond, and then we went out to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we obviously wanted to win the game, but it's you still have a great time. The vibes are still good, whereas at a different program you might lose and it just might kill the whole night, and people don't want to talk to each other. So it's really refreshing to still be able to enjoy each other's company, the trips and stuff.
It's the little things. And you had mentioned just having fun here. I mean, playing some of these high major programs like Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Penn State coming up soon. I mean, what's that like being able to play some of these historic baseball programs at a mid-major like St. Bonaventure?
It's definitely cool. Again, kind of going back to seeing where the game can take you. It's definitely cool to be able to look back on this one day. Even, we didn't do well against Vanderbilt, but it'll be in 30 years hey, I got to play at Vanderbilt, so that was that was pretty neat. And I just try to I'm as competitive as anyone, but I try to just enjoy the ride as much as I can and just really take it all in. And I'm always the guy when you walk into one of these stadiums. I'm recording it, so I want to hold on to that. So I think it's really neat, and just try to, you don't know how many games you're going to play in your career. Who knows what's going to happen to your body? So I just try to enjoy each experience as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, even backtracking a little bit, you get to tell your kids someday that you threw 5 innings against, at the time, the number 1 team in the nation.
Right, and probably a pitcher who's going to be an all-star for a lot of years.
Right.
I matched up against him on Friday night. Obviously, he got the better of me, but my name was next to his, so that's pretty cool.
That was, speaking of all-star, I mean, you've got to imagine that lineup, that Tennessee lineup, a majority, if not all of them, are going to be in either the MILB or the MLB. What was that like, being able to match up against some of those hitters?
It was definitely cool. I mean, you try not to in the moment. You kind of just try to attack, like they're any other guy. You look at like righty, lefty, things like that, but just really try to attack them. But then looking back on it, you'll see in a few years they'll probably be doing some cool stuff, and you can be able to be like, I faced that guy. That was kind of I faced Kansas State last year, and it was kind of the same experience on a lower level. Like Kalen Culpepper was the first shortstop off the board, and he went 0 for 2 out against me. So it's cool to look back on and be like, now this person's doing this super cool stuff, and I got to face him and have a little bit of success. So stuff like that's really neat.
That guy right there, I struck him out.
When you play these big time schools and these guys who are on MLB boards to be drafted, where do you even throw? Like, how do you even strategize against these guys? Because they're just that good that any small mistake and you might not get that ball back. Like, how do you go about the
strategy? I typically look at film for guys and stuff like that and watch, AJ or was it you that worked with AJ?
Yeah.
Puts together really good reports for us that are really helpful. So I usually look at those. I honestly didn't even look at Tennessee's much. Especially like when we were meeting in the morning, Coach Raz and AJ were talking. They're like, good luck out there. Like, these guys don't really have much weak spots. So I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go out there and compete the best I can. I didn't really think about too much about aiming pitches or where they were going. I just tried to make my best pitch each time, based on what pitch Coach Raz called on the wrist guard. And it was just, that's about all you can do, and just do the best you can.
Now, we've talked about playing against some of these future MILB, MLB players. What about playing with them? I mean, Michael Salina, he's on draft boards. He probably will get drafted somewhere. And I mean, even a guy like Jay Starnish, who has skyrocketed up some of these draft boards with the start of the season that he's had. What's that like, being able to play with some of these incredible players?
It's definitely very cool. I mean, I think that whether they're on draft boards or not, the beauty of playing Division I baseball is everyone kind of has something to offer, especially on a pitching staff. So my philosophy has kind of always been, like, if they're at the Division I level, everyone is doing something better than everyone else in the staff is. So if you kind of pick each person's brain, you can kind of pull something from each guy, which is really nice when you're at this level and kind of just make you a more well-rounded player. So that's kind of always been my philosophy, and especially living with Mike, like, he has a lot more than one thing to offer that's really beneficial. So I can kind of try to be a sponge and learn from that. And even guys that people would consider to be worse Division I pitchers than me still have something that they do better than me. So it's really cool to kind of pull from each guy, and it just makes you better playing at this level.
You have 13.4 thousand followers on TikTok. What made you start posting on your TikTok, and what's it been like building a following, and where do you want to take this?
Oh yeah, it's been super cool. I started, I probably had a TikTok account for let's say 5 years, but I didn't really start posting, I would say till 2 years ago or so, and then it was really not even till last fall that I was I want to try to grow this as a Division I baseball player. So I just kind of always liked the idea of social media. I've always been good at figuring out kind of how to leverage, algorithms and people's, what people want to see and engage with, and kind of how to use social media. And I had a past working in social media. I was social media director for a company called Press Sports for a little bit. So I've kind of had some experience with it. So I figured it would be easy, and I just started consistently posting. And then it took off last year, and now I'm able to kind of make a living off it, which is cool. And then in the future, I really just want to grow the account even more, obviously. Yeah. And then try to come up with some more brand deals with some people, and kind of just try to make it close to as much of a sustainable living as possible in the future. Although, obviously, I have other pathways, because it looks like a good chance TikTok does ban or something happens.
Yeah.
So it's not the best thing to rely on, so I have a lot of other things that I can work with too.
Was there one video per se that kind of made you blow up, or was it just a culmination of videos?
That's a good question. I would say in the fall last year, when I started posting some kind of more of advice-based things for younger athletes, they got a lot of attention, which was cool. And then I really realized that I could make something of the account when I had my first Division I appearance last year against High Point. and I did really, really well. And I just, for fun of it, posted like Division I career appearance #1 like breakdown. And I just like posted it, and it did really well. Not like crazy, but I want to say like 50, 60,000 views. So it was like,
Nothing
I'm gonna do
crazy,
this every
sure.
single appearance. And then I pitched again that Sunday against High Point. Did really well. Posted Division I career appearance #2, and it got like 50 or 60,000 more views. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this every single time I make an appearance, and it became like a cool series. And then I got a lot of followers each time. So that was kind of what made me like a take off, I would say, as opposed to like in the fall when I was just posting. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying here, I guess, but you know, I think it's if you had to pick like right now, like you want your TikTok or baseball, like what are you gonna say here? I guess I would imagine baseball, right?
Put the two things.
Oh
back
no,
to back.
I mean, baseball's my career, it's my passion,
Okay.
but I definitely wouldn't appreciate, you know, if someone was like, you know, you can't use TikTok anymore.
Right.
I feel like it's a cool thing. I think it brings a lot of positive publicity to whatever team I'm playing with, whether it's in the summer or a college team. I think it's just like it's cool to get out there, and my content's pretty positive usually, so I feel like it's just a cool thing to be a part of.
If TikTok does happen to get banned, as it may be trending towards, would you move to Instagram? Would you move to a different social media platform? How would you go about that?
Honestly, I would probably, for the rest of this season, just use it as like a way to gain more time, more free time, I guess, and then kind of reevaluate in the summer. But I would definitely try to grow my Instagram following more, maybe get more onto Reels and stuff. But honestly, I might have to make a secondary account, just my personal account's a little bit more like stuff with my friends and like girlfriend and more serious stuff. But I don't know. I would figure it out. Maybe YouTube too. I know people
absolutely.
have some success on that, but I'm just praying for now. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. You and me both.
We had that one day scare, and then we came back from it. So hopefully that can get sustained now.
The two series on the TikTok that I follow the most, I would say, are the bullpen reviews, which seem to be a newer
That's a new
series
one.
this
Yeah,
year.
that's a new one. We've only got 2
And
so
then
far.
the food reviews, I saw the steak review, and then one of the burger reviews. Who came up with like both those ideas, and is that something that we can expect you to keep going with over the course of the next year?
Oh yeah, the bullpen reviews. I mean, we got to have a little bit of feel with, you know, being at the fields. You know, we can't do it like before games and stuff like that. But if we're able to get to a field, we have like a Thursday night practice. We typically do that then, just because the vibe at practice is a little bit more low key than like a game. So me and Alex Barger are making them. We've done 2 so far, so we'll probably do. When we play St. Louis, we're gonna fly down there, so that'll probably be our next one because we'll be able to be there early for practice. So it's just fun. It's just like a fun thing to kind of people can relate to, especially if they've played at that field before or thrown in the bullpen. So it just kind of ties everyone together. And then the food review, that was Mikey's idea, I think. That was his idea. He loves to make his steak, so that was the first one we ever did. He was like, I want you to take a video of me, you know, rating the steak. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And then we started doing a lot after that.
Out of curiosity now. Sorry, Gavin. Out of curiosity now, I gotta ask him. Out of curiosity, like, what's your favorite bullpen you've ever gotten to throw in?
Ooh, that's a good question. So we went last year. I pitched on Sunday against Kansas State, and then we went to Creighton to play them on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I wasn't going to get into games, obviously, but we played at the College World Series field. So
wow.
I threw like a flat ground just to be able to say I threw on the mound, which was pretty neat. So that was probably the best overall mound I've thrown on. In terms of a specific game I was pitching in, I think I would have to go with. I'd have to go with Kansas State. That was pretty cool. So that same trip, yeah.
Growing up, did you have a favorite pitcher? And then another separate question, was there a weird windup guy that you kind of looked at and were like, hey, he has an odd windup as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think I might have the same answer for both. In terms of like a mainstream guy, my favorite pitcher was probably Max Scherzer, just because I kind of go nuts like he does. I'm like more like an animated guy on the mound, especially if it's like a big strikeout. I would say him for like favorite pitcher, but for someone's windup, I would definitely say Cueto. And he's also one of my top 2 or 3 pitchers ever. I just really respect the fact that he wasn't gifted with much. I mean, he's 5'10", 5'11", just kind of put on a ton of weight, got super strong, had this deceptive windup to try to make a career out of it. And so it's a lot easier for me to kind of respect someone like that than someone who's 6'5", 6'6", and just it's God-given talent. So I thought it was always cool how Cueto was able to kind of take this lack of a gift and turn it into a really cool career with his windup, and just fun to watch.
I've got to ask, with this newfound fame coming out of the Tennessee series, what does it mean that you got to do it in a St. Bonaventure uniform, and the fact that you get to represent St. Bonaventure for the rest of the season?
Oh, I love being a Bonnie. I love playing for Coach Raz and the coaching staff. So it's definitely really cool. I'm definitely proud to be here, and I've only been here for not even 7 or 8 months, but it feels like I'm already part of something really special, and gonna hopefully cherish being a Bonnie for the rest of my life. It's definitely very cool. Love it here, and hopefully some more success in the future. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Once a Bonnie, always a Bonnie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We know Bonnie's Baseball, huge into analytics. How much are you using those reports and that information that they give you before series?
Definitely looking at it. Definitely paying close attention in our pitchers meeting and stuff, just because you want to always just take in as much information as you can. You don't have to use everything, but just to have that knowledge in the back of your mind is really cool, and it's really cool how hard AJ works on it, the time he puts into it. And numbers that don't usually lie, so it's always helpful to kind of have that information in the back of your head.
As this is, a baseball podcast, on your Bonaventure page, it says you're a Red Sox fan. Is that true?
Red Sox fan.
Red Sox fan?
Yeah.
So, what are your expectations for this year's Sox team, and how happy were you with this offseason that they just had?
I think the offseason was solid. I think they could have done more, but the addition of Bregman's terrific. I think he's going to pepper the wall. I think Fenway's the perfect park for him to play in. I like Crochet a lot. I think he's a frontline guy. I like the strikeout potential with him. I'm big into that. I think the more strikeouts you have, the less the ball's put in play. Just more things good are going to happen. He doesn't go deep into games, which I don't love, but the bullpen's improved. I love the addition of Chapman. That's good. I think the biggest importance, though, is the prospects like Campbell, Meyer, Roman Anthony. So I think those guys.
I believe Passon called them like the best 3 prospects in baseball or something recently.
So what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to kind of injuries won't get us down, because if someone gets injured, you can plug those guys and just find any position, which is really exciting. So my prediction for the year is Dodgers, Sox, Dodgers in 5. So I think the Dodgers are going to come out. I think the Red Sox are going to come out of the AL.
Bold prediction.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, being a Red Sox fan, what's your personal take on the third base, second base controversy with Bregman and Devers?
I think you start off with Devers at third. I think you gave him the money. He's the face of the franchise. I think you put him at third. I would do a lot different things with the lineup than Cora does in general. Outside of that, I don't think Alex Cora is a very good manager. Personally.
Wow, I think that's kind of a hot take. I
It
feel
is
like
a
a lot
hot
of
take.
people
It is a hot take.
one of the best
I've
managers.
been on that for a while. Even in 2018 when they won the World Series, I did not like the way he handled the bullpen and other things. So I would have a completely different lineup. I wouldn't even start Tristan Casas, but I'd move everybody around. But if we're looking at that specific issue, I'd go Bregman at second, Devers at third.
Okay, you heard it here first.
I think our final question is, what are your career goals after this place? Do you want to play professionally? Do you want to go right into the workforce? What are your career goals after Bonaventure?
So my thing is you never know how long you're gonna play baseball for. I think we're even seeing injuries are just so frequent, especially as a pitcher. Your arm's just so unpredictable. So I just try to work as hard as I can every day. If I had a career-ending injury tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. Like I did everything I could. So I just try to enjoy every experience we get, do the best I can. But the goal is obviously to get drafted or to sign at least with the professional team after here. I don't see myself really going to another college, so it's going to be here and then hopefully to a professional contract of some sorts. But if that doesn't happen to come to fruition, I'll obviously have to go into the workforce and have to make some money. But
Unfortunately,
I don't think I'll ever stop playing baseball until I have some sort of thing happen to my arm that's so bad that I physically can't throw a baseball. So my degree's in education. So let's say I'm 24 and start my teaching career. I would still be training every night to throw a baseball and to get my body right. And then eventually, if my arm can't throw a baseball hard anymore, I have to stop. But I'll continue to train alongside whatever career I'm into as well.
So you're going to be like that Rays pitcher who's a high school coach and
maybe they'll end up on going viral again. Maybe they'll be at an MLB stadium in the concourse thrown into one of those games and lighting up the gun or something.
Sometime later, some kid's gonna be like, my math teacher was at Vanderbilt.
The beautiful thing about baseball is whether it is the MLB or the minor league, there's so many opportunities to play baseball and there's so many leagues to play baseball. But we'll obviously be rooting for you wherever you go, whatever your plans look like.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So we want to thank you, James, for coming on to the show. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Like we mentioned, this is the first of many player interviews, whether it be baseball, other sports at Bonaventure. Maybe we get some pro guys on the show. Who knows?
I'm trying.
We'll see.
But maybe we'll get a guy drafted this year. You can have him come back.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But thank you for viewing Inside the Inning. Until next time, for Ryan Adio, Gavin Watson, and James Capellupo, I'm Jack Haskell, and as always, go Bonnies.